Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Metal video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at, well, to be honest with you, we're going to be taking a look at the Hybrid Saiyans challenge for the Blue Zone. Blue Zone, Magnificent Spectacle, whichever way you want to call it, but we're going to be taking a look at the Hybrid Saiyans challenge for this. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, if we're speaking like honestly, this challenge is pretty rough. Of course, doesn't mean it's impossible, but I think a lot of the thing is a lot of people are building strategies using their own Beast Gohan, Double Beast Gohan. I unfortunately don't have the luxury of this, so instead I will be using a Hybrid Saiyans team under Ultimate Gohan. Now this does not mean that the team is terrible. Actually it works quite fine, and one of the reasons why it works quite fine is largely due to the power of the Strength Future Gohan. But now, before we talk about the team, let's talk about the Beast Gohan boss. Now, Beast Gohan as a boss has three phases. He's got the physical phase, the AGL phase, and then another even tougher physical phase. What makes Gohan so tough as a concept is two major things. Firstly, he hits very hard. Okay, well, three things then. So he hits very hard, which sucks, but he hits very hard always in the first slot, pretty much. I think he has an 80% chance to super whilst your characters are in the first slot. So, well, they're always in the first slot, but you know what I mean, when he's targeting the first slot. So he's got like an 80% chance he's going to proc his super there. It's a very high chance. On top of that as well, he also locks characters in place. So this can also be detrimental, because you can fight him, he can lock a character that's not meant to be locked there, and it's game over. You're not going to be able to move, your character is going to get supered, and then it's GG for you. There are a couple ways to counter this. One of the major counters is of course the intercept abilities. So there are two in the game currently, that being for the physical Gogeta and being for the Strength Beast Gohan. Now of course, how these work is they intercept the attack. So Gohan, instead of supering the front unit, will instead will super the intercept unit. Now the big problem you will have with this is Gohan tends to stun the unit he attacks. So this also has a double up effect that although your Beast Gohan is now taking the shots, he's also being stunned, so he's not putting out a lot of damage. And this fundamentally is a little bit of an issue. Tiny bit, not huge, but tiny. So now you're in a kind of like a catch-2 situation, where you need your unit to tank Gohan, but that unit can't be a unit that does most of your damage, because otherwise then what happens is you lose out on the damage, which means it takes longer, which means Gohan supers more units. So you do need to either A, make it through phase 1 and 2 with both items, so that you can just tank up and throw whoever in the way, or B, get a bit lucky with dodge. Now both strategies are fine. I find getting through the physical and AGL phase is not too hard. AGL Ultimate Gohan does hit pretty hard, but he's not impossible to take out. I think for a lot of players, AGL Ultimate Gohan is not impossible unit to defeat. So I think you can definitely get through the first two phases without using the item, and then that does indeed obviously make your time a lot easier. So that's the general coverage of the Beast Gohan fight, and of course it is quite difficult. So how do we counteract this? Well, with my team, we keep things super duper simple. We're running a Hybrid Saiyans team. We have some pretty crucial units that we're going to be using. So obviously we're using a friend Beast Gohan. It's very important to understand that Beast Gohan as a friend does not encompass the Hybrid Saiyans category. So obviously a lot of people use him and then use like Tech Ultimate Gohan, not realizing that Tech Ultimate Gohan does not fit under his lead, and then he takes a lot of damage. Well, actually he doesn't, because obviously he's Tech Ultimate Gohan, but he takes a lot more damage than he usually would, is what I should say. So firstly, if you are planning on taking a Tech Ultimate Gohan, you have to make sure, a Strength Beast Gohan, you have to make sure that you have the right units for his coverage. Now to compensate for this, we as a team are using the power of the using the power of the physical Beast Gohan. And we're going to be running a Hybrid Saiyans team, obviously, but a, on the Master and Disciple / Hybrid Saiyans team. So realistically, a nice kind of mix of situations. So yeah, so how do we build this team? So we have Future Gohan. Okay, so Future Gohan, great unit, by the way. Excellent unit. Really strong, really consistent, and great for the third phase because of his ability to deal enormous amounts of crit damage. Remember, Gohan, Beast Gohan, needs to be critted really to do damage. He reduces any damage below the 10 million mark. Sorry, well, the million mark, I should say. But pretty much attacks that's below 10 million just don't hurt the guy, to cut a long story short. So crits help a lot because crits convert those lower level damages to pretty decent ones. So yeah, Beast Gohan obviously helps a ton, but Future Gohan is also a huge damage dealer. That is excellent as well. So those are like the two crucial units: a friend lead, our unit. Physical Ultimate Gohan is obviously crucial from a lead perspective. Int Gohan actually is surprisingly incredibly good, due to the fact that he can tank so well as a unit, and also helps us through his capabilities as a support. He tends to help us out actually quite dramatically with his abilities as a support, and this is great because he helps us in the beginning by supporting us, giving us a good boost, and then afterwards he actually becomes very tanky, especially as you fall lower in health. He can become very super tanky. So his damage may not be there, but as a floating tank, especially with an item, he tanks really well. And so for me, it's definitely something we have to factor in when we're building the team. So yeah, now obviously alongside that we're bringing the AGL, Trunks and Gohan. Now a lot of people say, why are you bringing them? Are you a madman? I'll say you are a fool. They are clearly the best unit in the game, but no, they're useful actually because they bring the revive, they bring the ability to force these super attacks. There's actually a lot of great stuff that they do utility wise, that at least I think for me is something that I value quite highly, and that I think for me when I'm building a team helps me a lot, and I think is something that I definitely like to cater in. Not to mention their revive essentially acts as like a soft reset. I could be in a difficult situation, or maybe they get locked to first slots or something, and I just kind of want to revive out of it instead of using items or an active or something like that, which ultimately works, really works quite well. So that's a good alternative, more so than anything. But yeah, definitely works really nicely. The sacrificial lamb, I like to call some of these units. But yeah, it is. I mean, they are a sacrificial lamb, but they do their job brilliantly. And damage in that is okay. I don't want to say it's an easy stage damage-wise, but I think you do need some damage, and I think these units don't necessarily help so much. But Future Gohan and Beast Gohan carry a ton of the damage payload, so I'm not actually too distinctly worried if AGL Future Gohan isn't popping off. It would help, but it's not a be all and end all, if you know what I mean. So that's pretty cool. Of course, we still have other great units that we want to use. So we have the physical LR Trunks, fantastic unit. His active skill is so clutch a lot of the time. Like, a lot of people don't like him for whatever the reason is, and that's fine. I definitely admit that I am biased to Trunks to a certain degree, but if I'm being honest, he does really well here. Obviously type neutral, so it does help, and we do have items, but his skill is really what we need. because in situations where we're under pressure or about to take a lot of damage, having the ability to just have a unit that you can just activate a skill and they can then sit there and take that damage is really, really, really important, and makes a huge difference to how your team functions and everything, pretty much, basically. So yeah, that's a very, very crucial point for this team. So you got Future Trunks, Physical Trunks, Int Future Gohan, Future Gohan, Physical Trunks, Int Future Gohan, Physical Ultimate Gohan. So you got the basics down pretty much when it comes to, well, I say the basics, but you got some pretty high tier performing units that exist on this team. Especially units like Beast Gohan and that, when combined with Ultimate Gohan, they tend to make things a lot easier. And I find that the two of them make a fantastic pairing, and running them together is honestly really, really good. So yeah, I don't know, I really like this combination of units, if I'm just being honest. If I'm just being real with all of you for a minute. But yeah, we still have some really interesting units. LR, AGL Gohan. I don't want to say like a top tier pick, just mainly because he gets outscaled a lot. He's the kind of guy who just needs like a fat equip that gives you like 3,000 attack and defense. If he had like a super fat equip that gave him like 3,000 defense, then he's pretty much going to look great, because he just starts a bit too low and it just takes him a little bit too long to stack to be still an absolute top tier choice. He is still a really good character to use, and I do still really like I do still really like using him in certain situations. So I do think players are shouldn't discount him out. I think with his guard active also, and you have a couple items active, he can tank surprisingly well. You're effectively making him a 40% unit with guard and damage reduction. So yeah, it is, I want to say, it does work. It's just not maybe necessarily a top tier choice for this anymore, just because of the nature of the beast and how power creep and everything works. But yeah, generally speaking, I had a pretty good time running this team. It's fun to make these team builds. I think ultimately it's a lot of fun to run the teams as well. And I think when they make missions, I think doing stuff like Hybrid Saiyans is cool. Any kind of mission is obviously really, really, really cool. So I am also super happy with that, and I am excited to see we'll complete some of the other challenges, or post them, or because at this point, probably by the time this video is up, I have probably finished all of them. But yeah, honestly, it's really fun. I think if you don't have your own Beast Gohan, it does make it a little bit more challenging. But I will say, like, there are some cool units that are not in the Beast Gohan skill. Like, Tech Ultimate Gohan would be an absolute machine here. We don't use him, but he would be an absolute machine. So there's lots of good units. I would say, like, lots of really good units and really fun choices. But that's it from me. Honestly, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, it's been a pleasure, and I will see you guys in the next one. So take care, stay safe, and if you do have any queries or anything, please let me know in the comments down below, or let me know what teams you used to take on the events. It's always cool to hear it. And that is pretty much it for me.